I can't believe it's December. Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. How is it December? I can't believe it's December already. I don't understand how this year has simultaneously been the longest year in existence, but also has gone so quickly. It blows my mind. But December means I have one more spread to do for 2020, so if you want to watch what I did, take a seat, grab a cup of tea or your beverage of choice, and let's get into it. Okay, so let's get started with this bullet journal setup for December, my final setup for 2020. It's been a journey. This whole year has been a journey and it has gone so quickly. Where has the time gone? Does anyone know? Answers on a postcard, please. But it is December and my theme for this month is a evergreen Christmas trees theme. I actually found this theme on Pinterest on an account called Inspiring Sunday All Things Bullet Journal. They posted a picture of a monthly cover page, which I don't do in my bullet journal, but I know a lot of people do, of kind of the title of the month and then all of these trees, which were drawn by doing coloured green triangles and then doing kind of offset fine liner outlines of the trees, the triangles with like a little trunk, that's the word. And not only did I think it looked very hashtag aesthetic, but it also looked really easy to draw. So I was like, sign me up. I can draw triangles. That is something I can do. So that's what I decided to go with. And I like the fact that this theme isn't specifically Christmas. I did end up using red and gold as well within my spreads, which did give it more of a specifically Christmas vibe. But you can just keep it with the green, or if you want to add a second or third colour, you could stay away from red and gold to make it kind of not specifically Christmas. So I like that it's a bit more neutral as opposed to, for example, doing a candy cane theme or a Christmas present theme. It's kind of more general winter, and then you can Christmas it up or down if you need to. And seeing as it is December and it is the month of Christmas, the show of the week this week is White Christmas. And if you don't know the show, you'll probably be surprised as to how many songs you'll recognise. A lot of the songs from White Christmas have turned into Christmas song staples because at the time White Christmas was written, a lot of musical theatre songs ended up being pop songs of the time. Whereas now it's the other way round. It's like, you got a pop song that everyone likes, let's put it into a musical. How the turntables turn. So yeah, I will put links to the cast recording of that musical below so you can get into the Christmas spirit if you are that way inclined. But yeah, it doesn't feel like Christmas though. I've said Christmas how many times in this video so far, and it just doesn't feel like it at all. I like that I'm not ridiculously busy for December. I've already started doing my Christmas shopping. This is the earliest I've ever got round to doing Christmas shopping. Like, some of the Christmas presents I've bought are already on their way, and this is a whole new world for me because usually I'm in the middle of rehearsals for something and it's like, no one has time. I'm busy learning lines. I don't have time to think about Christmas presents. What's going on? So yeah, this is a novel feeling for me. Anyway, my next spreads are my monthly task lists and also my Spanish words list for the month, which will be words to do with Christmas. Very fitting. And on either side of the page of each section, I've just drawn a Christmas tree with garlands draped across them. You'll see when I turn the page that the pen did bleed a little bit right there. I'm not massively mad at this. Obviously, in hindsight, I now know next time not to go so heavy on the brush pens. But also, I told myself when I started bullet journaling that I wasn't going to worry about aesthetics. I wasn't going to worry about it looking perfectly Instagrammable. It needs to be useful for me, and worrying about what it looks like would not be useful for me. So yeah, it's just one of those things. You live and learn. So next I'm doing my Spanish sentence of the week. a tried and true spread. She has served me well this year, and I'm wondering whether I should retire this spread. I feel like it's not enough for me anymore. I definitely feel like I've hit the intermediate plateau with Spanish, and I just don't think doing one sentence a week is going to cut it anymore. I know and I can feel that I need more advanced self-study techniques. I need to, watch La Casa de Papel even when I'm feeling tired, and I'd rather watch something mindless in English. That I need to read material or articles about things that don't have as many cognates with English in terms of the vocabulary. That I need to maybe look into having some lessons every so often to get access to that harder, more upper intermediate, lower advanced material. And that is one of the things that I am looking into doing next year, if/when I get kind of more regular income, is to look into having some tutoring sessions on italki with a tutor, just to see if they can set me like essays or things like that. But yeah, so I don't know whether, getting back to my sentence of the week spread, whether I should change it so it's a sentence a day, or change it so that it's something else, like maybe I make it a page where I answer a question and it's a longer form thing, or to just give it up altogether and replace it with something else. I don't know. Probably have to have a think. But onto my next page, which is my habit and mood tracker. And I've switched up some of the habits with this. So the first thing I've switched is that instead of tracking specifically yoga, I'm tracking exercise in general, just because I think moving my body is more important than the specific way I move my body. And if I decide to go for a walk, I can't track that in my bullet journal if I'm just tracking yoga. So I just thought that would give me more kind of freedom to do what I want to do in a day, rather than feeling like, oh, I have to do yoga. I've switched out tracking my reading for tracking creative writing. I've already thought about ways that I could incorporate that into a more daily practice without tracking it, but I also think tracking it would help, so I'm going to give that a try and see how I go this month. And then instead of tracking social interaction, I'm tracking my Spanish, specifically things and activities that I'm doing to quote unquote study Spanish. So writing down lyrics and translating them, or watching a TV show, or reading something specifically. Not just writing in my bullet journal in Spanish, which is what I do every day. So yeah, I do like the idea of New Year's resolutions, and I do sometimes make them, but I also think if you want to make a change, just make it then and there. I don't have to wait to December to start trying to take my Spanish a bit more seriously, So next we're onto my ideas spread. I've been loving having a brain dump page. I've been using it more and more throughout the months, and it's just becoming a staple. So yeah, wanted to do this again. And then to decorate it again, just drawing some triangles in different shades of green. Easiest doodle ever. Love this theme. I'm so glad I found it. And then I decided to also do a border on this page, just to make it look more fancy, because everything looks fancy with a border. And then on the next page, I decided to do a My Achievements This Year spread. And this is a spread that I wouldn't usually do, because kind of celebrating achievements is something that I would usually do in my gratitude log or in my positives log. I wouldn't have a designated spread or a page for it. And especially the achievements I've had this year because of COVID wouldn't normally be noteworthy. But I just felt that this was something that I wanted to do for myself, especially because this year, because of COVID, it's not been a good year. I don't think there's anyone who would say that this year has been good, unless, you're Jeff Bezos and you've made a lot of money this year because everyone's been stuck at home. I think whatever your personal situation, this year has been rough. And I think that made it, for me, really important to celebrate those small wins and those small positive things, whether it's the small growth I've seen in my YouTube channel this year, or the friends that I've made this year, or the improvements I've made on my Spanish, or the fact that I didn't have a mental breakdown because we're in the middle of a pandemic and I didn't know what was going to happen, you know. And yes, it doesn't mean that it's made this year any better, and those small victories, you know, might not have really done that much to make the overall year better, but it doesn't mean those positive things didn't happen. So I just wanted a place where I could celebrate those small wins and be like, yeah, 2020 wasn't completely awful. It was mostly awful, but it wasn't completely awful. And when I look back on this notebook in a year or 5 years or 10 years time or whenever it is, and I look at this year along with all of the kind of organizational day-to-day stuff, there's a page to be like, yeah, here were some things that were a cause for celebration, you know? So finally, we're onto my weekly spreads, which again, sticking with all of the boxes. We love a box. I have actually been watching a lot of bullet journal content that's been going back to the origins of the bullet journal system, which Ryder Carroll made and invented, and kind of the very utilitarian, simple spreads for your future and monthly logs and for rolling dailies and things like that. And I had to check myself because I did feel like a little twinge of guilt of like, oh, I'm being too elaborate and decadent with it. But I also think, you know, there is something to be said for aesthetics, depending on what kind of person you are. And, you know, when you buy pretty notebooks, for example, you buy them because they're pretty. And, you know, when you see a really lovely page to fill in, sometimes it makes you more want to use that resource. And like, this varies from person to person. I know that that's the logic behind really elaborate habit tracker spreads, for example, but I know elaborate habit tracker spreads would not work for me because the aesthetics would overtake the utility for me and it would just be too much of a headache. Whereas for other people, the aesthetics help with the utility because it makes them want to use those spreads more. So yeah, I think it is really interesting, and it's one of the things that I love about bullet journaling is that it's so personal to you, you know, and no two people's bullet journals would ever be the same. Whereas obviously if you buy two versions of a normal year diary, yeah, the contents would be very, very different, but apart from that, there wouldn't be much difference to it. I think it's a real way to see someone's personality. So here is my final flip through for December. I really, really like how these spreads turned out, and I'm really looking forward to exploring this theme more throughout the month. So that was my final bullet journal spread for 2020, my spread for December. Can't believe it, end of an era. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. Would love to have you on the channel. Stay tuned for more theatre and bullet journal content from a UK perspective, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye friends!